Hi guys, and welcome to another unboxing video, and in this video we're looking at the wireless remote control made by Pixel. It's the tw-283 and I bought this from Amazon for $39.99. I wasn't expecting much for $39.99, but as you'll find out I was pleasantly surprised. It's actually a lot better than I thought it ever would be. My wife and I decided to renew our wedding vows, but because of the world pandemic, that meant that having a photographer was nigh on impossible, so hence it was left down to myself to make sure this worked out okay, hence the purchase of this item. So I left myself, by the time this arrived, probably about 1 day and a bit to be able to learn the product and to get it up and running so that I could create memories for the rest of our lives. No pressure, eh? Okay, so back to the unboxing. What do we have in here? Well, if I can just struggle to take this out, you have a transmitter and a receiver, and they feel very light, nicely packaged I guess, and they come with this cable which attaches to the front of your camera, and they make this variant for Canon and Nikon, so obviously pick the one that suits your camera system. This goes on the top of the camera on the hot shoe. It's pretty good, looks okay, feels nice. Okay, so this is the next bit. This is the bit that actually allows you to take the photographs you require and to adjust some of the settings on the camera. In other words, what I mean by that is you can have delayed pictures or whatever, but I just used it as just to point and shoot. In other words, I lined up the shot and then I just press fire. The initial impressions are good, and it comes with this instruction booklet. Very small text, so make sure you've got reading glasses on. The diagrams make sense. And it appears to be a lot more complicated than it need to be, because actually in use this was actually quite a simple device to utilize, even under pressure. It literally only took me probably around about 5 minutes to get up to speed with it. You're not going to struggle with this, I promise you're not, but by all means experiment more than I did. I just didn't want to take the chance, so it's a case of making sure it mated with my Nikon D3 in this case. I've got to remember which one I used. And making sure it worked, and so I was familiar with it on the day. Now to the controller. Well, it feels a lot smaller than a TV remote control, and it feels very small, which is probably a good thing because it allows you to be able to put it anywhere in your person or in a bag. I had it in my pocket, my shirt pocket, my inside pocket of my jacket, so it's just the right sort of size. And even when the batteries were installed, it wasn't heavy at all. In fact, it really didn't make a lot of difference because they're only AAA batteries, and of course they don't take up much space or weight themselves. Both devices take the AAA batteries. I have to pinch myself as to the amount of money I spent on this, $39.99. That's not a lot, and yet when I hold these devices they feel really good in the hand. Opening the battery doors, for example, feel nice. I'm not struggling to undo them, I'm not struggling to put them back in. It's a small detail, I know, but it does make a lot of difference when you're trying to get the overall sort of feel for quality. I like it, very pleasantly surprised. So, installation of the batteries is as to be expected. They fit in fine. I used Duracell on this occasion, as they appear to be the market leaders and consistently good. I didn't want to make any mistakes at all on the day. There's a lot of pressure behind this because I have no idea how good the shots are going to be, and quite often at these sorts of events you don't have as much time, especially to do the things you want to do, as you might think you would have. So it was important to make it quite seamless. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but even the purchase of the batteries is extremely important because you don't want anything to fail. There's a lot of pressure for this device to work, and a lot of pressure on me to make sure the device works and gives the results that I want. Okay, now to the installation of the other batteries and to make sure the thing works. Well, as I'm putting these things in here, I'm conscious of the fact that other people might want to see what it's like for the first time using this, so literally I'm taking along the way warts and all with this as I'm struggling to put this slider in. It does go in really well. It's just me fumbling around because I'm trying to lean around a camera trying to get the shot. It automatically switched on here. I don't know if you can see that there, but it says channel 01. The actual receiver on the end of the camera, the top bit that goes on, not the controller, that bit I held with my left hand there, that didn't go on at all. It was just when I put the batteries in on the controller. Now to unravel the cable and start to get things put together. Okay, so we've got a phono connector at one end, and that goes into the receiver. So that goes in nice and snug. It feels nice, this, and you'll see what I mean, guys. You don't want it to be too solid, too heavy. It's just literally the weight of the batteries you notice in it, and that's it. It doesn't feel too plasticky, and it doesn't feel particularly cheap. It just feels nice, and it looks pretty good too. Just give you a few other angles there so you can see what it looks like and what you're going to get when you purchase the item. It fits together quite nicely. The lead itself is long enough too, so if you've got an awkward camera or an awkward camera setup, you could probably put it off to a mount to one side, for example, or somewhere else. That's just another look there. You can see the actual the screw fitment there that fits to the top of the hot shoe. Now the next stage is to obviously show you a little bit more of the product, but also to switch both items on to make sure they connect. But just before I do that, I'll just show you the remote control you hold in your pocket. And you can see it's just quite ergonomically designed, and it's quite nice. It's the lower button that I used 99% of the day on the day itself, so that enabled me to take the pictures. So I just switched the receiver on. You can see me popping it on there, and it comes at a default channel 1. Now you can have up to 30 channels, I believe, on this device. You can actually change that to suit. So if someone else is using the same sort of thing, or there's some interference, then I guess you can change the channel to suit. Now the chances of that happening are quite minimal. There you go, they're both on channel 1 there. And there's lots of different settings you can use and just to experiment with. Lots of timer events, time-lapse photography, so forth. There's lots of things you can do with this, but by all means experiment. I haven't experimented massively with it, I just did it for a purpose. You can see they're trying to mate there with the lights flashing, and that kind of works. So after this, the next thing is to actually get the thing established with the camera. I'm very excited at this point because I have no idea this is going to work. I've not had one of these devices before, but with the more modern cameras I've got, I've been able to activate them wirelessly from a little remote control I got from Amazon. Here's my D3. Let's get this thing established and fitted. Okay, first things first is to take the hot shoe cover off first, and so we can put the receiver on the top of the camera. It does fit in quite nicely. I'm not rough with anything, there's no point. I mean, what's the point in throwing it around? I've got to point out, however, though, because it is quite plasticky and fragile, I guess, I can't imagine it would survive a massive knock. It'll probably snap, especially if you dropped it on the floor. It would more than likely shatter. But I wouldn't want to drop my camera or treat it roughly anyway, so it looks kind of nice. Fits in well. Now as we go to the front of the camera, we got the other little pods I'm going to take off there, and we can put the lead on. Obviously make sure it's lined up with that little white dot there. I don't know if you saw that there, but it's got to be lined up there perfectly for it to fit. Okay, now you'll start to see me fumbling around now, but I'm not very good at sort of leaning around a camera. I've actually put this camera, which is filming now, on a tripod in an awkward position, so I'm trying to fumble around, trying to guesstimate where it's going. This is probably not the best thing to do. Just, it's quite clearly marked on the actual end of the lead there, like a little sort of tag, which should line up with that white mark on the camera. And you can probably look at it and think, well, just line it up, put it in, it's easy. Yes, it is, but when you can see it. So I just went by touch there, and that kind of worked. But it is a lot easier if you can just use your eyes. Now with these leads and connectors, you can screw them tight in so they don't fall out, and that's entirely your choice, but it's probably best to do that. It saves knocking it out by accident or getting it caught. But conversely, there is a problem. If you do get it caught on something, you might wreck the device. Okay, so I'm just tightening up now, just to make sure it fits nicely and it's snugly. And the next thing is to grab the other end of the lead and to clip it into the side there. Now, on the day, I wrapped it around like this, and it seemed to be out of the way, and it seemed to work perfectly. It wasn't obtrusive at all, wasn't in the way. It just seemed to work fine for me. But no doubt I'll probably come up with some other ideas how to store that and to get it in nice. Here I'm just pointing how it should actually be fitted. You can see it lined up there. It's like a little mark on the side there. You can't see it quite on the camera, I would imagine, but in reality you can. And you can feel it as I felt earlier. Now with the controller, let's see how this works. Now hopefully it will do. So I'm going to switch the things on. and see how we get on with this. Well, first of all, let's go to the receiver. Okay, it's on channel 1, that's good. Fingers crossed now, and this one works. Go to channel 1 too, so that's obviously the default, which I'm pleased about. And you can see that light flash there, green, and they seem to have mated there. Now, it didn't say this in the instruction booklet, but I just sort of found that out myself. When you read it, it's a little bit pidgin English, to be quite honest with you. It's a sort of instructional booklet that you have to sort of reread probably about 20 times more than you need to. But I would suggest experiment more than you're actually reading. Well, that worked. That's my first try at it. I am very happy. The button itself feels nice, and it feels nice in the hand. It looks kind of cool on the camera too. The lens I used on the day was a 70-200 2.8, and also I used another f2.8 lens, a 35mm, and had some lovely shots. So just the two lenses, the one camera. I had a spare 5100 with me just in case. I'm deliberately showing you the top of this here because the cable itself you'll have to play with to just get the right desired effect. But more importantly, let's go through some sample pictures about what happened on the day. So sit back and just watch this a little bit and tell me what you think.